What's good, Vigilantes? I hope you had a great week, and today we're going to talk about shame. I think shame is one of the most destructive things that tears away at our mental health. And the reason why is because oftentimes our shame is not based in reality. It's often where we exaggerate our flaws and then we downplay the things that we're actually contributing to society. But we can get into a cycle to where we allow shame to be the driver of our decisions as opposed to love or hope or things like that. All of us have crazy backstories. Every human that you talk to, whether they're rich, whether they're poor, white, black, they have a story that there will be ups, there'll be downs, there's gonna be successes, there's gonna be failures. That's across all human spectrum. What shame does is it tells us that our successes are not important, and it tells us that our flaws are beyond anyone else. And what it often does is leads to isolation. My stepfather was addicted to drugs, but he also was a man that grew up in the church. He loved God. Often, the biggest thing that was the driver of his addiction was his shame. He'd do drugs, and then he'd feel terrible. And then he'd finally muster up the strength to begin to try to fight his addiction. And then something in life would happen. Either something external, something internal, or maybe he would even be thinking about his past. And it would trigger him, and guess what? He'd do drugs, he'd be ashamed, and then the cycle will start all over again. You have to break the cycle. You are not so broken that God can't use you and that people don't love you. So here's a couple tips I will give you. First, identify the source of your shame. 2, you gotta challenge the script that's running in your head. Is it actually true? Are you the worst person in the world for your mistakes? Next, you gotta have self-compassion. Talk to yourself like you would talk to one of your friends. Then you gotta also seek support. You gotta have a community. It could be a family, it could be a church, and if you feel like you don't really have any of those things, you could definitely tap in with the Vigilante Community. It's in the Discord. Practice self-care. Go get a massage. Go to the gym. Go outside. Do some nature walks. Do something. You gotta practice self-care. And then a really important thing is you need to forgive others. One of the biggest parts of my shame was I had so much unforgiveness in my heart that it was hard for me to even forgive myself. But as I forgave other people, guess what? I was able to forgive myself better. Celebrate your progress. Don't downplay your successes. Look, if you're struggling with an addiction and you have broken that addiction for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month, celebrate that. That's a big deal. Even if it's not an addiction. If it's anything that's happened in your life that is actually beautiful and positive, you need to celebrate that. And last, remember you're not alone. You are not the only person that struggles with the things that you struggle with. You're not the only person that has a similar story to you. Like, we are all interconnected and we're all in this together. So I love y'all. I'll see y'all next week.